something that I didn't know is that directors weren't always the people that chose who their cinematographers were. A lot of the time it was the actors.
This woman had an incredible voice and suffered to share it with the world.
I failed miserably because I was trying to make porridge.
Good morning. Welcome to another week at Straight Shot Post. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it and get started with what we've learned in the past week. I actually want to share, I'll get started. I want to share something I read that really stuck with me in the past week. I'm reading this book about marketing, and it's very, it's just interesting. As you know, I'm learning a lot about the area of marketing and sales this year, trying to make sure I become proficient in that, as it's my weakest area of being a business owner. And so I'm reading this book called This Is Marketing, and there's a passage that I really liked from it, and I'm going to give it a shot. So today, we take it all for granted. FedEx actually does deliver more than 99% of its packages on time. Cars don't spontaneously break. Makeup doesn't often cause blindness. Your web browser rarely crashes, and the electricity almost never goes out, and air travel has never been safer. And yet, we still talk about being very good at our craft as if it's some sort of bizarre exception. Plenty of people are good at what you do, very good at it, perhaps as good at it as you are. Full credit for the work you've done and the skill you possess, but it's not enough. Quality. The quality of meeting specifications is required, but no longer sufficient. If you can't deliver quality yet, this book isn't much help to you. If you can, great. Congratulations. Now let's set that aside for a minute, and remember, nearly everyone else can too. So this is the actually, like, he puts into words, obviously, something I have sort of been talking about. I don't know, he says it much, he's way better of a writer than me, obviously. But what he's sort of talking about is something very simple. It's like, there's just so much abundance, so much access, so much talent. And it's something like that you can't forget. You got to stay humble, stay hungry, constantly be trying to get better, and sort of make sure that you're offering something. I guess the lesson for me is really like, and I say it all the time, right? I say, like, we don't sell quality. We never talk about how good our videos are, that you're going to get a great video, because I don't think that makes us unique in any way. I'm not here to say we're the best. I'm here to say that we focus on service, that we focus on speed and technology, that our project management is at an incredibly high standard. These are the things I actually think will separate us. I talk about our brand, right? Like, who are we? The kind of people we are, if you like to hang out with us. And it's actually become, he's been drilling in this book the idea that to, like, stop catering to everyone. Find literally the smallest audience that you possibly can of people that, would like what you have to offer, and just, like, kind of hammer it into that sort of group, And so we're obviously, we're the hardworking nerds, we're the people who are super geeky and nerdy about what we do. We're the people who are obsessed with service and psychology and understanding our clients. Like, these are the things that make our company unique. Again, being good is just normal here. That's kind of like, of course, like, why wouldn't you want to be good at your job? So, and before that passage, he was talking a lot about how in the past, like in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, those were things that if you were actually just good and weren't causing blindness with your products and stuff, it set you apart, which is kind of crazy to think. But he's basically saying that now, especially with the internet and the amount of competition that there is, being good simply isn't good enough. Like, everybody's pretty good at stuff, whatever they're trying to do, which is kind of, I know I've said this before, but it's like, just by virtue of the education that you got and the several years of training that you already have, you're already better than most at what you do. And by most, I mean that's all the people on the planet that want to do what you do. So for all the editor here and the technicians here and the project managers here, the experiences that you have, the amount of time, the amount of care that you have for what you do, already separates you from most, but it's still not enough. You know, not for the standard that we have here, right? Because we want to be at the top of the game, which requires clearly extraordinary effort. So I really love that passage, and I read it today in the middle of my workout, and it got me so fired up. It was ridiculous, because I was like, yeah, I'm not strong at all. I'm just trying to get strong. And there's people that have been doing this for years ahead of me, so let me just fight for that last extra bit of work and sort of prove to myself that I'm going to keep pushing myself, sort of regardless of where I stand amongst everybody else. Like, I will outwork, you know, and sort of out effort most people. And it got me excited. So that was my big takeaway from last week. And it kind of came as I was reading this book and sort of culminated when I hit that passage early this morning. John Roberts, what did you learn last week?
So I was watching this documentary on cinematographers, and the documentary started back in like the early 1900s. Something that I didn't know is that directors weren't always the people that chose who their cinematographers were. A lot of the time it was the actors, which makes sense because the actors are the ones in front of the camera and they get to choose like, what's the look of this film going to be because I'm the star. I want to make sure that the cinematographer that I had on my last film, I really liked the way I looked in that film. So I'm going to bring them over to this one. It was really interesting to see like who's making the decisions back then and how that's transitioned to now.
Did they talk about how that transition happened? I'm curious.
I didn't get through the entire cinematography. Like I had to go to a meeting or something, but it was interesting to see that. I'm still in like the 1930s, the 1940s. So I'm not sure if it's going to go all the way to now, but we'll see.
I think that's super interesting, and I'm curious when things started to flip. My guess, and we'll find out, is when color started to come in. So because a lot of actors didn't make it. Yeah, exactly. Or sound or color. Yeah. Probably, sorry, I meant sound actually, not color, but sound. When sound comes in, I know there was a massive shift, maybe probably because things got a lot more technical. I would say that's a possibility. Number two, the other one is probably when you see there's going to be some sort of exponential increase in the number of films getting made. And I bet when you see that curve go up is when you're going to see things flip, because there's no way, because you can't be beholden to the actor if you're the studio, right? Because you got to make a bunch of films. So
yeah, I think it depends on who the actor is though, because the one that they highlighted was Charlie Chaplin. That dude was the writer, the director, the producer, like he had a lot know of power.
Again, fringe case.
Back then has the same amount of power as him for like the choice of DP. So I don't know when that flip happens. But
so interesting. Yeah, I'd love to hear more as you discover. Thank you for sharing. Catherine, what did you learn last week?
Hi, everybody. Last week, I learned that time is fleeting, time is temporary, and times are hard. So the best way to get through it sometimes is, in this particular situation, I have, some family issues going on. I couldn't, be there as much as I wanted to. So if you can't be very active, the other option is escapism. And John Roberts, kind of similar to you, I watched a lot of movies this weekend. Usually I would go on an adventure to escape, but with COVID, and now it's freezing outside, so my options are limited. Over the since COVID started, my boyfriend and I have created this thing called a movie box. It's exactly what it sounds like. We each put in 10 movies that we want to see, but you know how you scroll Netflix for hours and you don't know what to finally land on. We just put in like 10 things we've always wanted to see, and the other one can't put up a stink about it. We just agree. And we write it down, we shake it all up, and what we pull out of the box that day, that's what we watch.
Are these all movies that you haven't seen, or are you allowed to put in things you have? Okay, new movie, new stuff.
Yeah, you can if you want to, but I'm using this as new things. And so to give you an idea, we've seen some movies all the way from Hitchcock's North to Northwest to Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 to modern time Spring Breakers and The Little Prince animation. And just three movies I wanted to kind of highlight were three female empowering movies we watched, which were La Vie en Rose, all in French, Marianne Cotillard, incredible. So powerful, such a really sad story. This woman had an incredible voice and suffered to share it with the world. Something I feel like we're all kind of going through, suffering to just show our freaking art. Another one was Frida. Salma Hayek was incredible, and I googled this because I was shocked that she did not win the Oscar for Best Actress. No surprise, very whitewashed, I know. And to prove that, we saw who did win that year, and it was The Hours. And Nicole Kidman took it. And I love Nicole Kidman as much as the next person, but I don't know if you've seen The Hours, but I'm sorry, your Virginia depressed ass wolf was no comparison for Frida fucking Kahlo, who got a pole up her vagina and literally suffered her fucking entire life and had a passionate love affair and like acting range from all kinds of emotions. I was just shocked. And no Hispanic actress has won for Best Actress. Like,
Really?
The only person that has technically won is Lupita Nyong'o, but she's, half Kenyan and Mexican. Like, yes, that counts. But I want like a full freaking Hispanic. And the only other, I only have a handful. I'm Hispanic. My parents are Cuban. Were only a handful were ever nominated, and one to win was Rita Moreno for Best Supporting Actress in West Side Story. Not even like Best Actress, like Best Supporting Actress. So, somebody's got to be the first like full-on Hispanic actress to do it soon, man, because it's depressing.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So,
Jake.
yeah,
Sorry, Jake, did you want to say something?
Yes, because this whole thing reminds me, there's this YouTube video that explains all of it from this YouTuber that I love her. She goes by Be Kind Rewind, and she explains how Nicole Kidman won that year and how Salma Hayek lost out, and it's all this Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll email you that link, and you can watch it.
Good old Harvey. Y'all remember that guy? I actually grew up with him being like, I don't know, you guys, when you were in college is when he was getting shut down, right? Well, some of you still are in college, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, he dominated everything. So, anyways, super interesting. Thank you very much for sharing. Avi, what did you learn last week?
Sure. So Friday morning, I had a packed day. I was gonna meet a friend for breakfast and then help Alyssa move, and then I had to go grocery shopping because I haven't gone grocery shopping in a long time. So I was on my couch getting ready, and I stood up, and I don't know, I really hurt my back really badly.
Oh boy.
Couldn't really stand or walk for the rest of the day. I actually spent the whole day in bed. Funny enough, watching Nicole Kidman in The Undoing because I could not walk. So I guess basically the thing I took away from that, which is something I haven't been doing, is you really got to take care of your body. That's many things. That's, working out, diet. I've been getting a little bit into meditation because that kind of sucked. And it really hurt. I was just lying in bed, just in pain the whole day. And it's not fully gone yet. So that's really fun. And also, The Undoing. Not as good as I was hoping it to be. But...
Thank you. It's hilarious that you bring that up. I want to way talk more about your health than anything else. But I forgot to tell you, Jean-Luc, that I finished it. And I think you just overhyped it. I'm not gonna lie. I think you just had a moment with it. Yeah,
what
because
was
it's shitty writing. It's just misdirection for the sake of misdirection. That's why it's lazy ass writing. I was expecting. I was like, bro, if you're gonna go there, to just go like push it, take me in some weird direction. But
just quick question: by a show of hands, who's seen this limited series?
Jean-Luc has 2, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. But I think that for actors, you guys probably, I mean, it's just literally it's like I felt like I was watching theater, just two actors acting, like just doing their thing. So I feel like people who really enjoy performances, but, yeah, it was just overhyped. I'll be real quick. The opposite though, Gangs of London, y'all. Has anybody here seen the movie The Raid? Dude, first of all, The Raid is epic. It's an action film. If you like action, it's made by the guy who did The Raid. So like if you watch the pilot, it's like 40 minutes of kind of boring London gang drama. Somebody's dad died and now he's got to take over and he's trying to figure out who killed his dad. It's like you're kind of like, all right, this seems pretty generic. And then it just turns into The Raid for 20 minutes and you're like, and it does not stop. So I will highly recommend it for anyone that's into shit like that. This thing has blown I don't think I've ever seen anything like it on TV. The action sequences, bar none, are probably the best choreographed that I've seen on TV, not including something like Game of Thrones that's like, 1,000 people war epic, storm a, mountaintop type shit. I'm talking, intimate corridor fighting, people dropping through roofs, SWAT team type of like that kind of action. It is remarkable how good this guy is at that stuff. It's kind of insane. All right. Anyways, the more important thing. Sorry for the aside, but I've been hyped about it. I'm up to the season finale, and I know it's going to be ridiculous. So, I think I actually mentioned this to you guys last week when we were doing our onboarding about getting up every 2 hours and doing your posture exercises. This is super important to take note of for people like us who sit down all day to do our job. You are, if you're not moving your body, effectively just slowly dying. So it is critical that you understand like that you need to move it's kind of like, use it or lose it. Your body's kind of like that, right? So there are some basic posture exercises that I could teach everybody that I was sort of taught. Also, I would highly invest in a great chair. Like I spent $500 on my chair. I do not regret a single penny. Clearly, because I sit in it all goddamn day and it keeps me healthier and more supported. Obviously, I introduced strength training and other things into my life, and one of the biggest benefits I'll tell you right now that I have seen from it in the year that I've been doing it, shoulder pain and just overall shoulder mobility and posture and back support. And back pain are two things that are have dissipated. You don't overdo it though. You take the baby steps. Obviously we talk process here a lot, but I highly recommend that you look up a posture routine to start with. That's like super important. And then that every 2 hours you get up in some way. What you should do, get up, have an 8 ounce glass of water, and then do your basic, and I'll go through them again, the basic shoulder stretches and sort of basic routine, and like walk around for 5 minutes. It's like, it doesn't seem important, but apparently it really is. And homeboy here hurt himself by getting up like a normal human being. Take note of that, right? So I had a girl that I worked with once who also, check this one out. She had a nightmare and ripped her ACL in her sleep. Can you believe that? Yeah. I'll never forget that. She was on crutches for like 8 months. Kind of like changed her whole life, and I was like, damn. So shit can happen. I'm just throwing that out there, but you want to do everything you can to prevent that, obviously. And so homeboy's going through some pain and discomfort, but what you really want to do, because you're young, you're like young, you want to make sure you have longevity, right? You want to do this for a long time at a high level without pain and suffering involved. I think that we all would agree that would be nice. So take note to what he's saying. It's a real thing. Thank you very much for sharing. Jaden, my man, what did you learn last week?
All right, so what I learned last week is that imposter syndrome is real. It like takes over your body, my mind, but I'm not alone. I was talking to a friend about it. We were talking about like how we were looking at other photographers that we found on like Instagram, and we were just like, oh my god, these images, they're so cool. How do they do this? And then we looked at ours and we're like, oh, these suck. But we were just like, it's okay to feel like you're not measuring up, because because I then went back and looked at stuff that I took 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh my god, these are awful in comparison to the stuff that I shot like a month ago. So like, you just gotta remember that it's always about growth. You gotta keep going. Forget like everyone, like, yeah, there are others who are good or might be better. You can't think about them. You can only think about your own personal growth.
Hey, let me throw this out there. There are other people that are just as good and better than you. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So once you accept that, you got kind of nothing to lose, right? And also, that's big why we keep the expectations very low here. That's all the problem is, okay? It's high expectations. And you're comparing yourself to others. So there's a lot of judgment involved. It's funny that you bring that up, and obviously this, I guess the theme of this one is sort of more progress, talking about progress and process, being process driven and growth minded. That is a core value here. I'm glad that you're here, because if there was any place for you to be to help you push through things like that, it's definitely here. And for the people that have been here, they don't worry. I will repeat it, and I will constantly remind you, like I have already, about how, like I said, being sort of good is not anything special, right? So you can't compare. There's no point. And I think that's why I'll go back to working out, where it's like, at the end of the day, I think everybody should work out, because if you're not humbled, that shit will humble you when you're like, God damn it, I can't do a single push-up, right? When you get that, there's nothing you can do. You can't convince your brain that you're better than that, because you can't physically do it. And I think that is such a good lesson to learn, because, for example, I hit a big milestone last week, and I'm super excited because I'm going to be testing myself tomorrow. I hit 6 sets of 4 pull-ups, and I'm going to go for 5x5 tomorrow. From 0, I couldn't do a single body weight row. I had to do things on my knees a year ago. So at the end of the day, if you sort of put your head down, which is what we talk about here, you just put your head down, you get your reps in, you do the work, guaranteed you will move forward. The problem is people sort of, they don't commit fully, to what they're trying to do. But that's why you need a real clear picture of the target. So instead of like, I don't know, like, it's good to, it's sort of double-sided. It's really good to think you're not that good, because that's what makes you want to get better, right? But that shouldn't necessarily interact with your belief. Do you know what I mean? So you should believe highly in yourself, because it's proven humans can do incredible, amazing things. And if you really want to, you could be very proficient at whatever it is. So if you want to become a great photographer, you can do that, but you want to be very specific, as specific as you can be. Like, what type of great photographer, what exactly are the things that you love in photography you see that you want to master, and then you just put in like the 10,000 reps plus that you're going to need to get good at it. And and obviously, as he said, he saw something from 5 years ago, and he knows he's a lot better than he was then. We'll take a guess. If you keep putting in the same amount of effort and time, and you obsess over something, how much better do you think you'll be 5 years from now?
Much better.
That's the reality. This does work. You just have to actually do it. You have to work hard. And that's kind of the hard part for a lot of people, because they either already think they're good, which is a big mistake, obviously, because you will certainly get outclassed by people that work harder than you. Eventually. Like, your talent will only take you so far. I use the example of LeBron James kind of all the time. That dude or Michael Phelps, absolutely perfect physical specimen for what he does, which is swim. Right? But if he did not put in, as you all know, extremely hard worker too, if he did not sacrifice everything to do it, he would not be the greatest swimmer of all time. And again, do you guys know by how much he's the best swimmer of all time? It's like a literal millisecond, okay? So even with like an actual like 0.01 seconds is what won him his 7th gold. So just take that into account, that like, even as perfect of a specimen as he is for swimming, if he did not put in all of the work to eke out what is we're talking about less than a percentage of increase, but it's so insane at that elite of a level. Like, that's what it takes, right? But he needed both, obviously. Like, none of us here could probably do what he does, just by virtue of that. But what we do creatively, there's so much more room because it's way more subjective. You can find an audience for what you do. There is no greatest, storyteller of all time because it's a subjective thing. It's not as objective as like, you lost by a millisecond, you're second place. That's very clear. Here, it's completely different game, which is what I like, because then I can just focus on you guys getting better and eventually you'll find your place. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of how it works. Someone's going to like your shit somewhere. Thank you very much, Jake, for sharing. Jaden, what did you learn last week?
Hey, good morning, guys. So over the weekend, I watched Soul.
So good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's the Disney Pixar animated film about a middle school music teacher who is trying to aspire to, be well known and gain his craft in the professional world. And he ultimately loses his soul. And I felt like the themes of that movie is like what I gained from it, I need to apply to my life right now, because I currently feel like sometimes I'm like in a relay race where like I'm just rushing to the next thing without slowing down, taking time to process the here and now. And I just feel that what I learned from, even though he's a fictional character, he taught me to like just slow down, just cherish the moments that you have currently, just take a look around and and just see yourself, reflect on yourself, and dig deep down to know if the goals you're aspiring to reach is what's truly meant for you. And I felt that's something that I gained a lot of insight from.
I just want to remember the onboarding meeting. Do you guys remember what I said is by far and away the biggest issue that I see with young people coming into this company? So if you don't recall, I said speed. What did I say about reliability versus speed? Somebody, anybody. I had a big thing. I must have hammered it in 5 times. Stability versus speed. What do you pick?
Stability.
Yes. Okay. Now that is a technical term, but it applies here too. I understand where you guys are coming from. I literally went to that school and had the same exact mindset coming out. And I know. And like this, I guess the theme of this episode is really patience and like falling in love with the process. There was like a big shift. I'll just share this one story, for example. I remember doing a film when I was very young. I was the first AD on a feature, and the director said, he was in his 40s, and he said, "Today is the first day of my real job. Thank you for being here." And that upset me. That scared me. Okay? I don't want to be in my mid-40s when I first start to enjoy the thing that I do. And it completely changed the way I thought about the entire industry, which was, to Jean-Luc's point, very result-oriented. And I made a promise to myself then that whenever I made a movie, I would enjoy it. And if I didn't enjoy it, I would just bounce. That there was no way I would ever sacrifice this thing that I love and cherish so much for me for anything else. And it changed everything. And it opened up a world of possibilities for how we even do what we do and how we communicate. So I think that you getting that lesson now, but the thing is, these things are so much easier said than done. Everything we're talking about is easier said than done. You need to practice it, just like everything else. We do a ton of auditing here, which is very helpful. So like everything you do, you will look back on it. You will take time to think about it. We're an extremely thoughtful company in that regard. We're always asking, why was that a good or bad decision? How did you even arrive at that decision? What's making you think that way? So it forces you to take a step back. Super, super important to build that practice in now. That's why meditating is so good. That's why I recommended that to you guys. That's why strength training is so good. So I recommend it to you guys. Because these are things that build discipline, They build patience because you're not going to get ripped in 2 days. Like, it's so useful for training, like all the things that we're talking about as like supplemental sort of activities. And I think it's super good that, you know, you're getting takeaways from a film like that. And by the way, I think it's great because when I watched it, I was like, Pixar, man. I love how you're going to like, I see what you're doing. You're going to make like Cars 3, and that's going to make everybody go and watch Soul. And then they're going to be like, wait a second, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? This is weird. This is what's going on here? Where's like the talking toys, you know? So, and of course, Pete Docter also did Inside Out, which was another very ambitious film of theirs, talking about sort of big concepts. So like, it's like their strategy is kind of exactly what I want to do, right? Which is like create something that is accessible, but that does make you think. And so I'm super happy that it was effective for you and was helpful. I certainly enjoyed it, but as I'm watching it, I'm more like, people need to see this. This is what I've been talking about, you know? Take a second. And it's funny because I think that whole movie is basically the paper bag scene from American Beauty. I don't know if anybody's familiar. But like, I remember when I saw American Beauty, I was like, this paper bag scene, holy shit, this is what it's all about. The paper bag is beautiful. There's like beauty in every little thing on this planet. And so many people, because it was like kind of artsy fartsy, it just went like, whew. And they're like, paper bag, that's stupid. And they completely missed the point. But like Soul did it. I mean, they did it with the leaf on the tree, right? It's the same concept of like every little thing has value in some way because it's kind of how you perceive it more than anything else, right? So if you learn to love the doing part, which is the thing that is hard to sort of switch as Jean-Luc is in the middle of understanding and going through this process, if you fall in love with doing it, which is why we're extremely craft focused here, like we talk about how much we love telling stories, that's this kind of company. It's not the kind of story we're telling, you know, or who we're telling it to, but the sheer act of being lucky enough to tell a story and getting really good at that is what gives us joy. And if you can find joy in the craft and in the doing part, man, it changes the game. So thank you so much for sharing. I get fired up about this stuff, obviously, guys. I'm firm believer in everything that we're talking about, and that's why we're all here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the whole team. Okay, Patrick, what did you learn last week?
I've been trying to read 50 pages a day as like one of my yearly goals of just any book, and I've been trying to do various topics, and I've been trying to alternate nonfiction and fiction books. Obviously, I get way more enthralled in fiction. That's just me, but I've discovered that nonfiction is really tough. I've been sort of trying to start from like early times, like sort of philosophy, and then work my way up through like more modern history and just various topics like that. And I just have no attention span for anything written, probably be before like, let's say 1850, just none. I can't do it. And it's so hard for me and I don't know how to tackle it.
Well, I'm going to say you tackle it like everything else. You lower your expectations. Just cut it from 50 to 5, bro. Can you read 5 pages a day of that shit?
Oh, for sure. I mean, 5, yeah. I can just sit down and...
Start there. Master 5. Like, honestly. And then from 5, you can go to 6. There's no other way. Because you're not going to keep it up. Guaranteed, you will not keep it up.
Yeah, no, I'm already like faltering. It's like less than a month in. And I'm
exactly.
Like, oh, it's so
yeah,
hard.
exactly. Especially because you're dreading it too. So like the moment you just have to really, 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 really bring it down until it is manageable. And then also, I guess, audit after a few months, like what's the value that you're getting from it? Like if you don't feel like you're even learning or getting anything valuable from it, then you can replace it with something similar. Because if the core concept is to educate yourself, and you're not even reading, then you're failing at that, right? Like why do you want to read nonfiction?
Yeah, to educate myself.
Okay.
I feel like I missed out on a lot of like literature.
So there's probably a lot of ways. So like, for example, if your goal was to like read that shit better and faster, then yes, the reps would go into reading it. But if the goal is to just like sort of learn and absorb the concepts, audiobooks will do that. YouTube videos that have breakdowns of that certain book or topic will do that as well. So you can just shift the habit to, if the habit is to just learn something every day, you can find other ways to do it. Do you know what I'm saying, Pat?
Yeah.
So
Other forms.
Yep. So you have two options. One, if the goal is specifically to get better and faster at reading that type of content, you have no choice. You bring the expectations down and you keep reading until you get better at it. Or if you realize that's actually not really the purpose I was going after, the purpose was really to learn something, then go ahead and find another way to learn that you will stick with better. So you need to make it easy. You need to make it enjoyable, and you need to make it manageable. If you do those three things, I have no doubt you'll figure it out.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah. That one's surprisingly easy, right? Compared to the rest.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But that's because specifically I've, like, done that shit. That's exactly how I, like, started to work out. That's exactly how I'm reading. And I set a time goal, not a page goal, because everything is digital for me. So it's like as long as I'm reading 20 minutes a day, I get the little thing, you've achieved your reading goal. And I'm like, yay. And that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for sharing. Alyssa, what did you learn last week?
So like these past few days, I've just been moving apartment, and I guess I learned that carrying furniture up a 4th floor walk up is very painful.
Oh yeah.
And very difficult. But I guess like I also learned like a lot of things, like what I like in an apartment and what I'd look for next time. And also I've learned like how to like build a bunch of furniture, like dining table, chairs, a bed, like, you know, like things like that. Yeah.
I think that, first of all, that's awesome. It's practical too, which is great. Again, those things are like so much easier to work out, right? I had to help my brother move this summer too. And my father's in the furniture industry, so he knew all the tricks of, you know, how to use the dollies properly and how to get it around the corners. But man, was it still not fun. I will say that compared to when I had to move into my last apartment, so like 4 years ago, because of all the strength training I've done, like my back, I would kill me the next day. And like now I was like, I did it. I was like, it was great to see the practical benefits. You know what I'm saying? When I was like, wow, look at me. I could get this giant dresser up the stairs like way easier than I would have. I was going to have to do that dresser no matter what. Right. So I'm glad at least I had some like freaking sense of like how to lift something now, considering I've been lifting my own body for the past year. And it was such a huge difference. I'm just throwing that out there again. I know I keep singing the praises of strength training holistically for life. And, you know, so yeah. But how is your new apartment? Do you like it? Where are you? Are you excited about the next year?
Yeah, I'm in 13th and 3rd, so very convenient. Yeah, it's quite spacious. We like put down like a wall, like a fake wall for like the 3rd bedroom, so now we have like quite a bit of space. It's really nice. Yeah.
Good. So at the end of the day, it'll all be worth it, and hopefully you'll get settled in soon. So I guess you guys are ready, huh? School year's about to start. That's an NYU. You're in an NYU dorm, right, homie? Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that desk. Same shit, by the way. Look at what? 11 years I went to school, and they haven't upgraded shit. Just throwing that out there. I had the same.
I will say, since COVID happened, they spaced out the dorms, so this room is technically a double.
Nice.
So,
What's up?
So it's all by myself, and I
Lucky.
pushed the beds together.
Nice. Oh man, does that take me back. Alyssa, thank you very much for sharing, and I'm glad you got everything up there without any major hiccups. Let us know how the dressing is going, when you guys have it all set up and you're happy. Okay, Brian, take us home. What did you learn last week?
Well, last week I failed miserably because I was trying to make porridge, and I made a very stupid mistake because I thought that, there's a lot of water in the pot, so it's not gonna burn. So I just turned the heat up all the way, and well, it burnt, and very bad, and the whole bottom of the pot was charred, and I made this big pot of porridge, and I ate 2 bowls of it for 2 meals, and then I looked in the pot, and there was still like a lot left, but the 2 bowls were not pleasant because it tasted burnt. But I ate it, and I was like, I don't want to waste the food. But after 2 bowls, I was like, I can't do this. This is disgusting. So I had to throw it away, and I felt really, really bad. But what made me feel even worse about it was after I poured out the pot, the bottom of the actual pot was just like completely black, and it was my roommate's pot. So I was like, shit. And so I texted him. I was like, yo, I'm so sorry, but I burnt your pot, and I'm gonna try and fix it, but if I don't, I'll buy you a new one. And so I spent like almost all of my Saturdays just scrubbing the pot and looking up different methods of getting like charred like gunk out of the bottom of the pot. And so yeah, I learned that dishwasher pellets are the shit. They're the way to go. I tried baking soda, vinegar, all sorts of weird shit that I found on the internet, but the dishwasher pellets, they're very nice. You just scrub it, and then it comes off.
So,
and, yeah.
Where did you end up? Did you salvage this pot?
Yeah, the pot, I got all of it out. It looked like new, but like it took me hours. And I was just like standing there like scrubbing the whole day. And it was horrible. But I guess like the lesson learned was I have to pay for being stupid, making a dumb mistake.
Here's the question that I have. Tell us the beginning again. You put in, like, why did you turn up the heat all the way?
Okay, well, I was making porridge. So it was just rice and water. And I thought, I don't know why, but I thought, since there's a lot of water that it wasn't going to burn. But I guess all the rice settled on the bottom anyway, so the bottom still burnt.
What were you supposed to do, I guess, is the question.
You're supposed to, like, get the water boiling, put the rice in, and then turn the heat down. And let it slowly go, so it's not going to burn.
So, what is the theme of today? That's even better, dude. It's patience, brother. I bet you wanted to just get this shit done quicker, so you put the heat up, and you're like, let me just do this faster, more heat equals faster cooking, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, I was hungry, I wanted to eat.
And you're damn right, you learned a lesson. Patience, kids, patience, okay? Patience is 100% the thing to learn today. Fall in love with cooking, and less with the food, the quality of the food, I guess. And I'm sure things will end up better. There is a right way to do most things, and Brian knows because I scream patience at him all the damn time. Yeah. It's something he's working on a lot, but I'm sure all of you guys will run into similar conversations with me. So, for sure, do what the recipe says. I think learning skills are just like that too. Right? Like there are foundations before you can start to mess around.
Yeah, but I think it's good to make mistakes because then now next time.
Yeah, of course. But it's, it's also like trust that the recipe is like that for a reason, also, which is something I don't know why people seem to think they know better, which happens a lot too, right?
Yeah.
So very, very, very good way to wrap this up. With like a no harm, no done. It did cost you a day of your life though, which is very valuable in my opinion, and it might have been worth it to just buy a new pot and save a day of your life. But like we said, I don't know if you remember what this is from the podcast. Woo. But there's a triangle of time, money, and energy. See, he has no money but all the time and energy in the world, so that's how he fixed his problem. So guys, let's have an amazing week. Highlight that it's MLK Jr. Day, of course, today. And I know I can't wait till I can give this day off. But until then, we're going to hustle and we're going to find our way. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. For those of you that are supposed to be here today, stick in the chat. For those of you who are not, you may go. It's a pleasure to have you all as always. Keep doing your thing, and we'll chat again about what you learned next week. Peace.